Hello and thanks for joining me. Well, some of you may remember I built a CNC lathe several years ago, and it works great. I really enjoy using it, but one deterrent is the chuck I had on it wouldn't hold very well. And it's a fairly cheap chuck, but I think the problem with it is the scroll is so fast on it that you can't get any leverage when you tighten it and it comes loose quick. But anyway, when I built this lathe, I had a Logan lathe, so I made the spindle to match my Logan. It's 1.5 inch by 8 threads per inch. That way I could interchange chucks with my Logan. Well, I sold the Logan and got a South Bend now, and it's a South Bend 11, and it's got kind of an oddball thread size. It's 1 5/8 by 8. Well, this is 1.5 inch by 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an adapter to fit my current South Bend chucks on this wood lathe. So here's what I'll show you what we're going to do here. Okay, here's the wood lathe spindle, and I think it's 1 inch extension. Yeah, 1 inch. And I'm going to bore that out and thread that on there. And unfortunately, the difference between 1.5 inch and 1 5/8 is not enough to accommodate the thread depth. So I'm going to have to make some stick out. And I'll bore that, thread it, and then thread the outside of this for my, the same as my South Bend. I don't think the stick out on this lathe is going to be an issue because we're turning wood. Anyway, that's what we're going to do right now. This is basically what it'll look like when we get done if you sliced it in half. And you can see the problem I'm going to have here. This right here, you've got to have a little bit of distance, because if I made it shorter, there wouldn't be enough strength here to hold the chuck out there. So I'm going to have to leave about 3/16 to 1/4 inch here. And this right here is 1 1/8. But that's the plan. Okay, I got that bored to 1 inch and just over 1 inch deep, and my other spindle is 1 inch. So I've got to go to the bottom and make this. I've got to bore about 300 thousandths more. Actually divided by 2, 150 thousandths. Here's a trick I do. A carriage stop. I just let the carriage push it over, and I'll be able to tell when that hits bottom. You can hear it. There it goes. Tried to stop the lathe. Now that is set where the bottom is, so I can kind of judge when I'm going to have to stop it. Just gives me a reference. Okay, I got it bored to 1.32, which is a little undersized, but I think the spindle on my wood lathe is slightly undersized. So we're just going to cut the threads, test it, and when it fits, it fits. Okay, I just cut a relief in the back there to end my threads. Probably needs to be a little bit deeper. Okay, I've got to set my compound for 29 and a half. Okay, I'm getting ready to thread here, and to use the half nut, this is a clutch here. The clutch is for cutting, it engages the carriage. But because I'm threading, I want to use the half nut, and this selector here is three-way. One is for the cross slide, one is for the carriage, and the middle is for the carriage with the half nut. I like the lever better, but this is what I got. So now this is active. Okay, right here I got this set at 0. I want the backlash so that it's loaded when it's coming this way. And then here I move the compound until the tool touches. Might be a little beyond that. Okay, first cut you can go fairly deep, and I'm hoping I will hear the difference when it gets to the end of the shoulder there. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do like I did with the boring bar with my carriage stop. I'm going to go to the bottom. That gives me a reference as to when I'm going to hit bottom by looking at that carriage stop. Okay, we're ready to make the first cut. I'm going to leave the camera on the apron right now so you can see what I'm doing. I've got the, move it a little bit here. Looking at the threading dial here, I can, because it's an even number, I can engage on any mark. If it was an odd number of threads, I would have to engage on the long marks or the short marks and stay with that. But because it's an even number, I can engage on any thread. So here goes, first pass. I use my carriage stop. You go in one turn here, come out, go back one turn, back to 0, and then advance the cutter with my compound. Now right now I want 15 thousandths. That's a fairly good sized cut, but when you're first starting the thread, you can go deeper. Back in, back, advance. Last one was 15, I'm going to go 10 on this one. Waiting for my threading dial mark. Go in about 7 thousandths. Cutting deeper about 5 thousandths. Waiting for my mark, engage. I can hear it, but the carriage stop is helpful. 5 thousandths. Well, I don't think that's anywhere deep enough, but let's give it a try. Well, it starts on there, but that's not deep enough. Okay, hopefully I didn't go too deep. We'll give this a try. Something I should have done, and I didn't. This might be a good demonstration. I didn't file the tips of the threads. Right now the tips of those threads are sharp, and until you knock the tips off, quite often it won't go on there. Okay, I took it out of back gear. I'm going to knock the tips off of these threads. Ooh. Made a big difference, but it's still a little tight. That means I'm going to have to cut maybe 1 or 2 more passes. Well, I made a huge mistake a few minutes ago. I took it out of back gear so that I could grind the inside or sand the inside with that emery cloth. But when I did that, I lost my timing between the carriage, so that when I go to cut threads, they won't be lined up right. So I'm going to hope this works. I'm going to sand a little more on these threads and hope that it makes it loose enough to thread on there. Can't believe I did that. Okay, I might as well take it out of the chuck now. Boy, don't like that. Okay, here's something I've done before. I don't like to do it, but it works. Put this thing back in back gear. Now I've loosened the tool post and I'm feeding it in. Now I can match the threads with the threading tool like that. Now if I did everything right, I didn't advance anything, so I should just barely be touching. Okay, let's see if this works. Does that work pretty good? One more pass and try it again on the wood lathe. And I'm going to use some emery cloth on this first and do it like I should have done it the first time. Do it slow. Taking it out of back gear definitely screws up the timing. Wow, still a little bit tight. No, actually it goes on. I think the weight of the chuck was just making it hard to get on there. A lot of spindles, and I did not make this one this way, but have a unthreaded portion on the back of the spindle. This one, the threads go all the way to that lock collar. But under normal circumstances, if I was making that adapter, I would want to make that unthreaded right where it meets the back register. So in this case I don't have to do that, but I got some burrs there and I want to clean this up, so I'm just going to make a finish pass there. A little chamfer on there. Okay, the reason I put that center in there is to check when I flop that around in my 3-jaw if it was going to be concentric. And it looks unbelievably close. I could put an indicator on it, but I'm tickled. So I don't have to do anything. That's great. Now I need to turn this down to 1 5/8. Two thousandths more. I'm squaring off that shoulder because that's where the chuck will sit. Now I'm going to make an undercut for my thread stand. Okay, second verse, same as the first. I think I'll do the same as before, speed that up a little bit. Well, not sure why I don't have enough power there, but obviously need to take smaller cuts. Well, I broke the threading tool. I'll have to change that. little oil really helps it. Oh, again? I think maybe I got a belt slipping problem on my lathe. Maybe it's got too much oil on it or something. Every time I do that, I break the insert on my lathe tool. Oh, I'm having a bad day. Well, at least I didn't break the threading insert. I have made a mess of those threads, and I don't know what's going on. I think my belt is slipping and my threading dial disengaged. When the threading dial disengaged, I wiped out some threads. I don't really feel like making this over again. It'll probably hold just fine for my wood lathe. We're going to try a chuck on it, see what it does. I got a faceplate for this lathe. I believe that's got it. Well, let's try this thing out. Well, I'm pleased. That came out good. Well, that about wraps it up. That didn't go very well, but it seems to be working okay. If it was from a metal lathe, if that adapter was on my metal lathe, I'd probably redo it. But that chuck's not going anywhere. It seems to be running really true. That about wraps it up. Thanks for joining me, and be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Next step, put a belt on my lathe. That belt slipping was a pain in the neck.